Right, Roger, welcome back. Okay, me, you and the tripod today. Penny's at work, so we're going to get stuck into the Street Fighter build again. Enough fun and games with Q&As for 1 minute. Going to do the handlebars first of all. It's a little bit of a silly idea. Don't know if it's going to work. It may look good, it may not, but that's the whole idea with designing and building things as they go. A few of you asked, do we do storyboards? Do we do build plans? Do I make all this up as I go along? Yeah, exactly that. But just make it up as I go along. Come up with an idea to make the bars look really fat and chunky that costs virtually nothing at all. A big set of fat chunky bars, a fat bar conversion, it's about £200 and I haven't got that to spend on this bike, don't need it, got handlebars, don't need to be wasting money. I want to keep this a budget build, I want to keep the figures down, keep the money down so that what we end up with at the end is a bike that didn't cost a great deal but still looks great. So it means cutting a few corners, doing things a different way. And I've come up with an idea. I haven't seen it done before. Some of you may have seen it done before, but I'm going to do it. I'll see if it looks any good. If it doesn't, we can go back because it didn't cost much. So it's the handlebars first. Once we've done that, then I'm going to see if it works on the forks as well. What we're talking about, I'll show you. Welcome back to Delboy's Garage. Right, as you can see, the bars look a bit spindly, you know, they're kind of big fat tank, the bike's going to be kind of short and fat, and I've always thought 7/8 bars look a little bit skinny. I'm going to use these Renthal flats, just completely flat bar with just one bend each side, so it gets a bit lower, a little bit less height there, which will put it down further, give more of a length forward and aggressive ride position. But I just think, as I said, they look a little bit skinny, so I've come up with a cunning idea to do this in with a budget. Now, you've all seen fat bars on Harleys and whatnot. Well, this is radiator hose. Just ordinary 22mm inside diameter radiator hose, got a metre of it, and this cost about £4. So I can make fat bars just by inserting the bars in the radiator hose. The actual inside diameter of the hose is the same as the bar. That's 7/8. 7/8 is 22mm-ish, so that just goes in nicely, like that. Now all I've got to do in the fullness of time is wipe that off. I bought this and in the picture it looks like that, and when it turns up it's got that on it, which is a bit lame, but hey go, it's only painted on, a bit of thinners will just wipe that off. So this is going to look pretty cool. It's kind of rustic, kind of rough looking. Again, the picture of the hose itself came and it was just like a smooth radiator hose, kind of a satin look, but it's not the end of the world, that looks alright. It's only a few quid, and if it looks crap, it doesn't matter, I can chuck it away. So that'll go on there. I've got to cut them straight, and what I've got to do before I put these on is measure that gap in the middle, it's about 95mm, and then cut a piece for the centre, then slide it all the way on the bars, put them in, put the ends on, and then I've got to work out the distance from the outer of the clamp to the switch block. So all these gaps where you see the bars are going to have this stuff on, which makes them look a bit beefier and a bit more daft, and that's what Street Fighter's all about. So I've just got to get a bit cut for there, nice and straight, and of course it's nice and forgiving because it's just rubber hose, and it means that when it's on there, I'll just stick it on, a little bit of hairspray or some brake clean or whatever, slide it on and it will stay in place because it's just going to be held in place by the controls. First job, get the controls off, change these bars, get those on, measure, cut, fit, see what it looks like.
Tequila
Alright, so there we are. A little bit less spindly than before. Chunky. It's kind of look I was looking for. Now obviously I've got to deal with these. I'm looking on the net to see if I can find any that will go straight in the top there. I've seen these little tiny pots that just fit straight in the top. May try and do that, otherwise it will be a case of cut this right down to get possibly one of them instead of one of them on this side, to put a clutch pot on this side, a little bit smaller, whatever. That's all for later, but this was about the bars, just to get them looking chunky. Now I'm gonna, this you'll see as the look of this whole bike develops, you'll see what we're going for. We're not going for the whole matte black survival thing. That's nothing to do with this bike. It's kind of more rat rod. This looks a little bit too shiny, and it's got a data tag sticker thingy there, so that's got to come off. I want to pop a coat of satin black over that and then scuff it back so it kind of shows through, going for that rat rod look. And these will get a paint, I think this one moves, this orange stuff. Thinners will get it off, but I might just do the whole lot, all three, with a little bit of satin black. Just, I've got some of this here frosted left, which will, that's rubber coating, so I don't know, I'm going to experiment with that on some scrap tubing and see whether it makes it look better. But either way, that's the look, a bit chunkier, and I like it. Didn't know if it would work, and for £4 for the whole lot, with as much, actually got more left than I've used, so that's a pretty cool way to do it. I don't know whether you'd ever get it over the curve of a regular bar. I don't know if you'd get the tubing over that. I suppose you could heat it up and lubricate it and it'd slide over, but then you get lots of sticky outy bits. I don't know. But either way, happy with that. Like the way that looks. So what I'm going to do now is pull all this off again. This is the nature of building anything. You kind of test fit it all. Going to cut two more of them the correct size, so they're exact. They're about 3mm wrong either side, too small, too big. Once they're all right, correcto, these little gappage, these little tiny bits of gappage just there and there, I'm just going to fill them in with some black silicone so that the whole thing looks the same. And then I've got some bigger. Now this may not work, I don't know, but that, the idea of that, and yes, that has the same rubbish written on it, but whatever, that's the design, or the idea of that was for the fork legs. To pop a length in there and underneath, which will be a lot of messing about. Drop the front out, wheel out, so there's a lot of faffing around today, a lot of time consuming messing about, but when it's done, I'm hoping that will be the forks built, and then I can get stuck into wiring the headlight in, which is going under there, and then get involved in a front flat shield sort of fabrication time. So let's get stuck into this, one job at a time. This is about making the forks look fatter and shorter. So I've got this here length of radiator hosing, and I've got the fork leg. Fork legs varied diameters, but not by much. It's kind of 52 at the fattest, so I went with 53mm inside diameter. So it fits over quite nicely to that point, but it fits over with, it touches. I didn't want it tight because obviously it only stretches so much. This section at the bottom, I want to get it down further than the bottom of the fork. I want to kind of bring the width of this right down to make the forks look real fat. These little lugs here at the bottom, which are for the original factory fender, I'm going to cut those off at some point, but I want to make sure I don't need them before I cut them off, because I could use them as mount points for a little kind of makeshift fender. You need one for MOT. So that does go down to this point. 55, 56mm I think inside diameter, and this is 61, so it's got to stretch kind of 5 or 6mm, and it will do. Just pushing it down on that, it swells out over it, and that's bone dry and it's cold in here. So once that's heated up, get it in some boiling water, get some rubber lube around the inside, that will slide down nicely, hopefully to about that point, hopefully. But I've got to cut the right length, because obviously the yoke goes in there, so I've got to space it, and there will be a little piece at the top to go between the two yokes, so the whole thing looks fat, chunky and shorter than it should be. So a bit of an experiment really. This is just giggling and having a laugh. It's nothing serious and it doesn't cost anything. This is what this whole build is about. So I've got to do some measuring on the fork that's in the bike still, so I get the exact cut on this. I've got to cut square end because the suppliers didn't, and then get the 4 pieces cut, then I can just assemble them and see if it looks any good. Wish me luck. Right, first one is to measure these two. That's the easy ones. These I've got to find out how far I can come down, what I can get away with. But for these are easy, so stick a pretty look up there. They're going to be the same either side. So stick that there. So that's 193 mil. So I'm going to cut 295 and that will give room for any discrepancy at all. They'll sort of squish in and take up any space and they'll sit square in there quite nicely, we hope. 195 times 2. Right, measuring the ends, cutting them square now so that they're ready to chop. I can measure. I've ended up with 99 centimetres left. They send you a metre but it's jaggedy cut. So I've got enough to get the 195 mil I need at the top twice, and what I'm left with is just a shade under 60 centimetres. So I've got 30 centimetres per side left. I should have bought 2 metres really. So what I need to do is measure from the point where the bottom yoke is 30 centimetres down. But what I need to know is when these compress, how far that comes down. So how far this is going to compress down, because I don't want the bottom of that catching on the bottom of this and preventing the fork's free movement. That would be dangerous. So I've got to make sure that even under the maximum compression, even when you're slamming it down from a wheelie or something, you don't want that, even though it's only a soft rubber thing, you just don't want it touching, you don't want it hitting. You want the forks to have complete free movement. So I've got to measure the absolute maximum amount of fork movement that I have on these forks. And the easiest way to do it, take a cable tie, pop it round, or whatever you might have, piece of wire, but I think cable tie works best. Pop it up reasonably tight, and then lean on it, monkey boy. See what I mean? So get down on it, as they say, and just everything I can, give it everything I can. And there's only one fork, so it's only taking, it should collapse. Right, that's it. I felt that. I felt the bump stop inside. Now let's just get you back up. So what I've done there, slammed it down hard enough so that I felt that touch bottom. I felt the spring lock up, so every single coil of the spring hits itself and it becomes a solid fork. So that fork bottomed out completely at that point. So I can measure from there to where the fork is, or from there to there, and I know that's my measurement point. Alright, so to cut the longer ones, this is the space I've got, measuring from the top of the cable tie to the top of the alloy casting. I've got 35 mil. That gives me 35 mil of space. I can come down an extra 35 mil here, and I know it won't bottom out, because it's bottoming out there with 35 mil still to go. So I can come 35 mil over the shiny bits, which isn't much. I'd love to come down to there, but it will just bottom out. So all I've got to do then, it's easy enough to do, take the 35 mils free space that I've got, or leeway, and measure from the bottom of the dust cap to that piece of tape, and that gives me, measuring, sitting at it at the right angle, 35. I'm not holding the tape rope, so that's exactly 35 more. So I just measure from this point here at the bottom, coming down, where are we? Let's get it exact, there we are. So I can come down in, and that's giving me 216, I reckon. Holding it with both hands, measuring accurately. I've got 216 mil, I can make that, and it'll only come to there, and under full compression, it won't go. Well, under full compression, if it bottoms at this point, then, well, it's bottomed anyway, so if it hits there, it doesn't hurt. So I can come 216 mil. So that's what I've got to measure out of this, and that is plenty long enough. Right, let's get that last one cut. Right, let's show you what it looks like. Right, now what I've gone for, as you can see, is that reasonably time-honoured Hayabusa Street Fighter type thing. Big fat fork shrouds, but instead of using alloy tubing with brackets and machined this and that and a billet yoke, which would cost an awful lot of money, I've just gone for a cheap option. Just wanting to see what it looked like, see if it worked for the sake of no money. I mean, that was £8 for that piece and £4 for the bar piece. So you're looking at £12 and I've made that look, and a little bit of black paint. I know that a few of you said, are you going to just go matte black on this whole thing? Definitely not, and I mean definitely not. The engine's not being painted at all, the frame, I'm not painting that. This has just been black because it was just a few too many colours. Kind of the gold wheels, they're not even getting painted either. They're staying like that. I'm going to do something else to them to complement that colour. But for these, the idea of this was to use one of them, Scotch pad, and once this stuff is dry, because it's an oil-based paint, and it takes about 2 weeks to go tough. This is the stuff here. Simon Eyes Tough Paint. It's the sort of thing, it's for stone chips, chip resistant, that sort of stuff. And the idea is I want to chip it up. I want to use the scuff pad there to just expose all the corners, all the ridges on it, and just make it look battered and aged, put a little bit of a patina on it, as the old word goes. I know it's a bit cliched, the whole rat rod thing, but I want that. That's what I want this bike to be like, because it's a budget build and it's a great way to decorate the bike. I could make it all polished. You can send this out for chrome and paint, as they say in the telly, but honestly, it's got £1,000. That's all it stands me in, and I don't want it going much above that. I got rid of the clip-ons the other day, so there's another £40 to wood stuff, which is great because it's keeping that budget all underneath what we paid for the bike. And I want to get this bit finished. So that's the front done for now. I've got to put a headlight on it. I've got a little idea for that. And there's a flat board shield going on it to kind of hide all this ugliness, and the ignition switch, so that's all just going to be hidden. But they are now cool. They are fat, that's what I wanted. Fat, chunky, beefy, daft looking front end for not much money. You can do it yourself. The bars especially. I'm not sure whether you get that stuff to go over a set of bars that have got a proper curve. I don't know, you'd have to heat it right up, boiling water, whatever, but that works on those for sure. Makes them look beefy, chunkier. Absolutely chuffed to bits with that. Really cool. Not sure if I'm going to go with the fender, but I've left all these little brackets and stuff here because if I do decide to, then I've got them there. If not, then I will be cutting those off, shaving them, so it's a little bit less on there. Would have been nice to go a bit lower with these, but as I explained earlier on, that will bottom out. That is the travel. So if I slam this down really hard or a big pothole, these are going to come down level with that as it is. So that's more than enough. It doesn't need to come down. It would be nice if you could have them down to there, but hey ho. It's got to work, got to be safe. So as far as that's concerned, that is it for now. I'm not going to do any more today on that. I'll just leave you with the wall of friends, which is ever growing. If you've got a number plate and you're at a fantastic part of the world, somewhere miles away from England, I'd love a number plate for the wall if you've got one to spare. I'll leave you with what we've got so far. Thanks for watching. Take it easy, ride safe. See you next time.